All right, everybody, welcome to the second episode of Twin Hammer. I'm very, very excited to have almost the rest of the whole of Team Canada that was with us here. We're just missing Matt, but we've got Khoa from Saskatchewan scene playing Void Dancers in the World Championships, who did very well, and we've got Devin from the Montreal scene, who won Best in Faction as the Angels of
Oh
Death
yeah.
player.
Also, worst in faction.
We just say best. There's only best, and we'll discuss what you got for that. But really excited. You guys are amazing players. It was so wonderful to get to know you over the weekend. We just had an amazing time as Team Canada, and I had met both of you previously. Koa, we met at Las Vegas.
Yes, yeah, briefly, yeah.
Yeah, very briefly in February, and we were both on Void Dancers, so kind of
Yeah,
bonded over that. And then Devin, we met at the CTC in Ottawa. And I think you already had your golden ticket
yeah,
by that time. Yeah.
yeah. That's why I brought my salvagers into
Yeah.
Voyance Pathfinders.
Yeah. And you're thinking, we were just chatting before the podcast, you're thinking about potentially the Jaegers coming up as well.
Yeah, change of play style. Try something a little bit different. I want to see how Infiltrate runs.
Yeah. I got beaten quite heavily by Alden, who came in second last year at NYO. With the Hearthkin, I was Legionary in NYO going into the Jaegers. And that ploy where they shoot you if you charge them. I didn't know about that. So my legionary went over the wall and then the sniper just headshotted him, insta kill. So I learned about their Firefly plays the right way by getting killed instantly. So I think the team has played for sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, especially now that they got the +1 movement they needed last edition.
Yeah, the +1 movement and they've got, I think they rounded out the team just like every team in the new edition. They kind of rounded it out, made it competitive in some ways, toned down some things in other ways. But yeah, I'm excited to go through and highlight your scenes. We're going to highlight the Saskatchewan scene, the Montreal scene, and go through our experiences at the World Championships. And then we'll talk about your teams, Void Dancers and Angels of Death. I want to hear about how you played them because we didn't actually have a chance while we were there in Atlanta to dive deep into your strategy. We were all kind of Warp Coven. We're always discussing
Yeah.
the four guys Warp Coven.
Bandwagon.
Yeah. I was bandwagon. I said because I jumped on last, Zinch gave me the least favor on the dice. He's like, I only
Yeah.
saved a little bit of favor for you. But yeah, excited because I love Void Dancers. I love Angels of Death. So we'll go through that. And then I want to hear your thoughts on the new teams that just got released yesterday, which look like a whole bundle of fun. But yeah, so I guess we'll get started on how you guys got down there and how you won your golden tickets. Let's start with that. Koa, how did you win your golden ticket and get down to the World Championships?
So honestly, I think it's mostly down to just like luck. They just happened to be a golden ticket in Alberta, Edmonton. I was actually going to travel to Ontario for that other golden ticket you guys had at one CTC. point. Yeah, the CTC. And then there's literally one like the same weekend that was just like a province over. So I just chose like the cheaper option. But I didn't really look into it too hard because at that time, like I think Brood Brothers and Jaegers just came out, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go for fun. I'll spring up the Brood Brothers and just go hard and make a diorama because it was like a paint thing. I like go in there. It's like I don't know how they set it up. It was kind of wild. It was like a five, 6 round tournament in a day where you just like where you started at like 7 to like 9 or 8 where it ended. And
Wow.
and Brood Brothers were just they were amazing during that time. So and I just like took it because I didn't
Amazing.
expect to take it at all because I just wanted best painted. But I technically did get best painted, but they don't let you get best painted if you obviously take first. So yeah, so it's good. It's good though. That's how I got it.
That's amazing. Goes in for best painted, comes out with a golden ticket.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. And Edmonton, how is that Edmonton scene that you walked into? Is it cool there too, or?
Oh yeah, they're awesome, great group. They have a pretty growing scene. They have some people from Calgary that came over as well. So they have pretty few decent players. When we came up with 4 Regina players. So and we did pretty well for Saskatchewan. I think like of the podium, I think there was only one Edmonton or Calgary person within the podium, and the rest, like top four, was just like Saskatchewan. So it was really funny.
That's amazing.
It's a little bit of rivalry building. So
Nice. And is there a rivalry with the Calgary guys as well? Do you know any of them? Or...
not really. I think there was only like one or two that came up, but they're really good players from like their other tournament hasn't came up. I think they're still growing, but they have a lot of players. So eventually we'll travel out to one of their big tournaments. Yeah.
That's amazing. It's so cool because like honestly in Ontario we're so insular with the Waterloo and the Toronto scene and you
Yeah,
only
yeah.
kind of know your own scene in Canada, but when you look at the rankings, you see all of these names starting to pop up in Canada and you're wondering like, who are these guys? Where are they? And what are the scenes like out west? So it's really cool to hear that the prairie scene is growing and Regina is like doing so well and you guys crushed it in Edmonton. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Actually there's one player that is in Saskatchewan. I think he now might be first overall in Canada or in BCP. Steven. He's a guy that went with me for Las Vegas and what I consider technically I'd say he's better than me. So I was surprised I took the golden ticket within that tournament because he was playing like Pathfinders at their height before they got nerfed.
wow.
And it was like very shooty like terrain. I guess I just like dodged him because he lost against Chaos Cult in a matchup.
Yeah. Yeah, KS Cult was very potent back then. And then Pathfinders were really, really intense back in that edition. Certainly Voyan with his Pathfinders were
Oh
crazy. They
yeah,
were finding all angles. But I was on Brood Brothers as well for the spring, and they were a whole bunch of fun. Like the leader, just the three leader choices was so fun. The Magus was so fun. The Patriarch is so fun. I ended up taking the Magus always because
yeah,
I would get better initiative rolls with the Magus. So if I took the Primus, who got the initiative roll, I'd still lose initiative. So I was like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
guess I'm just taking the Magus, just mind blast everyone and just
He's very good. He's like very good. So
yeah,
there's that honestly it's very hard not to go with any of them.
yeah. They're the three options are amazing. I think Kill Team is just absolutely smashing it with the releases. Like every new team is so fun. Um, yeah, and I took them to Nova as well, the Brood Brothers.
Oh,
So
nice, yeah.
it was fun. Yeah. Also, George was also on Brood Brothers at that point.
Because originally we are gonna do like a Brood Brothers theme because there's everyone
Yeah,
was like gonna run Brood Brothers,
yeah. If
but
the
then
new
that
edition
changed.
didn't drop, I think all of us would have gone as like the Brood Brothers instead of the Brotherhood of Sorcerers. But yeah, Devin, how did you get your golden ticket?
Yeah, so it was at a tournament in Trois-Rivières, so in between Montreal and Quebec. This was their first year doing Kill Team. It's normally a very big AOS 40K tournament. It's called Grand Clash. And so this was, they announced, oh, it's a golden ticket. I was originally planning to just bring my salvagers into it. It's like, oh, it's a small tournament, 14 people. I'll have some fun with salvagers, and I'll bring my Pathfinders to CTC. But then they announced it's a golden ticket at Clash. So I said, okay, I will go full sweaty and I'll try to snipe it with my Pathfinders.
Oh yeah,
So we were 5 people from Montreal from our group. We went up to Trois-Rivières. This was a Friday tournament. We went, so I actually finished second. And I beat Gabe. So you've played Gabe with his Hyrotech.
Yes.
I beat Hyrotech into the dark as Pathfinders.
Wow.
Yeah,
yeah,
it
that's
came
crazy.
it came down to he just left like one of the central corridors open, and I just sent one of my God, I don't even think it was one of my good specialists. I think it was like my comms guy or my medic went to his home objective, sniped off one of his little drones, and tapped the point for the win. So I finished 3-0. Another guy from Montreal finished 3-0, just above me. He was playing Intercession. And he had the benefit because the guy he played against, his third game, the guy had never played a tournament before, so he didn't have the fortitude to do 3 games in a day. So he was just completely brain dead. And Liam, the guy from Montreal, he just like did guys go forward, guys hit, guys die. And he just played like an overrun game and beat him. So we both finished 3-0. He beat me on secondaries, but he's a Sage Up student. So he couldn't go to Atlanta in the middle of November. well, end of November. So I got the ticket. We both went 3-0, but I got the ticket. And yeah, I wanted to bring Pathfinders to Worlds, honestly. But yeah, I played my Pathfinders, and then I spent the rest of the season just playing Salvagers and whatever else because Pathfinders are very oppressive.
Yes,
They
So,
they
are,
were.
yeah,
well,
I don't like so.
to be fair,
Very good.
I didn't chase the meta. The meta chased me. I used to play Tau in 3rd edition 40k. And then when I came back, I came back right when Chalnath dropped. So I bought Octarius and Chalnath. It's like, sweet, a Tau team. I'm going to play these guys. So I played them on and off. I swapped to Breachers, but then it's like, oh, Breachers suck. I'm going back to Pathfinders. So I am not a bandwagoner. I'm not like you guys.
No, I mean, considering you are the only Angels of Death player in all of
Yes.
the World
Yeah,
Championships,
true.
it's clear.
Yeah, but no. So it was Pathfinders, Into the Dark, Higher Tech. That's what got me my ticket.
That's amazing.
That's impressive in itself. Like even though people hate on Pathfinders a lot, they're not an easy team to play. I'd say you get a lot of combos.
Yeah, and also, I mean, the reason why I beat Higher Tech is that it's Gabe. So Alex, you've played Gabe. He can't roll his resurrections for shit.
Yeah.
I mean, 2-up, 3-up, doesn't matter. It could be 1-up rolls. He'll still fail them.
Yeah.
So,
He's a little unlucky with those. Yeah. I
yeah.
beat Gabe as well for my golden ticket. He's an amazing guy. Like,
Oh,
honestly,
yeah.
it was like if I lost that game, I would have been like so happy to see him go to the World Championships instead. But I was on Mandrakes at that point at CTC, and Mandrakes were an amazing counter to Higher Tech because the Dirge Maw hadn't been nerfed. So your Dirge Maw is just like whenever your Chronomancer goes, my Dirge Maw will go and get a shot off on your Chronomancer. And really, you need the Chronomancer to go first to set up everything with the team at that point, right? So now it's changed. The higher tech, the 3 leaders are all viable, but before it was just Chrono. And then it's like your 3-up saves are now 5-up saves with 2
Yeah.
APL, right? So essentially like 1s and 2s, but essentially 5-ups, right? So that's how I got mine at the Ottawa CTC. Also finishing second to Boyan, but there was three golden tickets for that event, which was madness. It was just amazing.
Yeah, that was awesome, you guys. You really got 3. It's crazy.
It was
I don't know if I'm going to get a golden ticket this year. Clash hasn't responded if they're a golden ticket or not.
Oh wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really hoping like we were talking about this briefly before we started the pod, but last year we didn't have any Canadian representation in the World Championships. We had one and then the American came and stole it. And then that American wasn't there this year. And then we went and took NYO and took a bunch of their tickets from the Americans this year. And then we went and there was 7 of us, 8 of us. I have the picture here. We'll see the picture
I think they're
with all of us
7.
here. Let's see. There we go. Let's see. We'll go. How many of us were there? Right at the end. Here we are. There was
Yeah.
7 of
Yeah.
us. Yeah, 7 of us. Here we are.
Shane.
Yes.
Yeah, Shane. Yeah.
Yeah, Shane was our spiritual eighth Canadian, and then Jimmy Kelly was our spiritual 9th Canadian. So we had official and unofficial Canadian representation there. But this was just awesome. I love that we got this photo here in front of the World Championships of Warhammer. We're trying to show the actual writing in this photo because the other ones were like standing right in front of it, so it doesn't even look like we're anywhere in particular.
Yeah, I think we took a while to coordinate that, and we're just like, let's just take a picture.
Yeah, I love
We're
this.
serious people.
Yeah.
I love this picture though. It was like so great and such a fun time. I had such a fun time like overall in terms of everything that we did, like all the socials that we had. I finally have the photo of the barbecue that we didn't have in the last podcast, so we'll show that off
Yeah.
as we kind of recap the event. But I think we could start with that in terms of your experiences. What did you guys think of the World Championships? Like getting the golden ticket, coming down. I had expectations, and then what we saw was like met my expectations, were different. What did you guys think? Koa, maybe we'll start with you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Um, I did have like a pseudo goal. Like I wanted to end positive. Obviously, I didn't. I end 5-5, but I faced really good players, which I don't think you normally ever get to do in an environment like this. Because in early in the year when we did LVO, I placed seventh with Void Dancers, with that like 155 people or 130 or something, some drops. So I had like this idea where I wanted to go positive again, with that expectation. But you got to keep in mind, like this environment is like every game feels like a top table because to get in, someone you'd have to either had podium, with a golden ticket or had won a tournament. So all these players have like a very high caliber. Amazing experience overall. Obviously, there was like a bit of constructive criticism that will be added later on with map deployments, painted terrain, objective markers. Like the list is long. Like player packet, rankings. Yeah. We're probably going to that, but
They're only a small independent company.
yeah, yeah, only a small
It's an
independent
indie
company, you know.
company.
So, um, but I end up having written all my breakdowns. But we'll probably circle back to that in a bit. But yeah, overall was really awesome. Love getting to meet you guys in person. It was really humbling to be like, oh, we're part of like Team Canada for Kill Team, which is like awesome. So just to represent Canada in that aspect. So a little bit of pressure because you just like want to do good for the people back home. But it's fun overall. So yeah.
And you smashed it, man. You did so well. I mean, coming seventh in Las Vegas was an incredible achievement out of like 100 and something people with the Void Dancers at that point. And then with the
Yeah.
refresh Void Dancers doing so well, you were like 4 wins in a row at a point.
Yes, I like lost my first two, which like got me down on the first day. And I was like, oh my God, if I lose my third game, I'm just gonna be crushed. And then I like won four and I was like, oh, I'm coming back up. And I just like lost like the 1-1 and then lost the rest.
Yeah, there were no easy games. It was so taxing because every time you expect if you lose two on the trot or something, you're like, okay, now I'm gonna have like an easier game, but it wasn't an easier game. It
No,
was
no.
always very, very tough. I was really impressed with how you both did. Because we had no like the Canadian scenes, we had no kind of reference as you were saying to how we're actually gonna do on the world stage, right? Like how do we
Yeah.
measure up against the Englands, the Spains, the US's, and to represent Canada in our it was our first like to be part of the inaugural Canadian team, I think is
Yeah.
really special. I think we have to mention like we were the first Canadians to go to the World Championships of Kill Team, which is like well, no one can ever take that away. It's always going to be so special that we were part of the first originating team. The way that Kill Team is going, in the trajectory that the game is going, I think it's going to just become a massive game. So I think that's really exciting. Devin, what did you think about the World Championships?
Oh, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I went in with minimal expectations because I knew I'm not going to play a meta team. I don't like chasing the meta. I wanted to play something that was different and interesting, so I took Angels of Death. So I was hoping minimum go 3-7 because it's Worlds. So you're playing top tier players. You know, there's going to be a lot of meta chasing. I was hoping for 4-6 was my baseline. I went 4-1-5. I ended up tying Legionaries from my last game, but it was they were. I don't really care about my overall result. I cared that I beat Legionaries and I beat Inquisition as Angels of Death.
It's a hard matchup.
That very impressive. And I think what's really impressive having the chance to see how you played like in our last game there, you were right next to me playing
Yeah,
Ben, who's amazing. He's awesome. And you were having such a competitive but like efficiently quick game. It was
oh
actually
yeah,
impressive to see you both play. It was like the way Kill Team is should be played. Like fun, like let's just get at it, let's get killing and you it was no holds barred.
yeah.
So I love to see
I'm a fast player, so when they said like, oh, 4 hour rounds or even 3 hour rounds, like I'm happy I had my room in the hotel because I could go back up to my room for like the second half of the round. Because if my games take over an hour and a half, I consider that long. So
yeah. And you guys were done, and I was playing breaches at that point. You guys were done
yes,
like before I was. I was like, that's incredible. You guys went so fast. And 4-1-5. I went 4-1-5 too. I think that is like the benchmark for we're in the top half of results in out of the 100 or 90 some odd players. And then Koa, you went 5-5, right? Overall. So the fact that we all went even, like the whole Canadian team did so well, went even or plus, I think is incredible. It's an incredible achievement. It really shows like not only coming from, we had an indication like George is obviously exceptional
Yeah,
here, Vivek, Voyan, they're all exceptional, but to see that all the regions in Canada can show up and play and be competitive, I think that speaks to the Canadian scene overall. And it's so interesting because it's like the US scene, the West Coast and the East Coast and the center, we're so far from each other that we don't necessarily get to play with each other or see each other often, right? So I think it's so cool that like surprise, like all of Canada is good at Kill Team and coming up, right?
yeah, no, no, and I'd have to say that's the best part is actually spending time with the rest of the guys from Team Canada, because actually, Alex, we were at NYO together last year.
Yes.
I actually finished above George at NYO. Yeah, so
I
this is
remember
actually our
that
third
NYO
tournament.
last year. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember that now. That was like one of my first ever tournaments in Kill Team. This was when I was first starting.
So I think for me that was the biggest thing was playing different people. Like I knew going in, I'm not placing at Worlds, but it was just playing different, better people, different, better teams, and just the social aspect of it. Because I find Kill Team, we can get sweaty, but it's not 40K sweaty.
Yeah.
So it's very sociable sweaty.
And
So it helps.
I love it's sociable because the game lends itself to that because you're not getting crushed over 4 hours and then you just have to see your whole team get wiped out in a turn and you can't do anything. So I love the fact that Kill Team is like, even if you're getting crushed, you still have that you have an activation, something bad happens, and then you do have another activation within the next 5-10 minutes that you can like get your stuff back in
Hmm.
order. It's not like that old. I don't like 40K because it feels like the old muskets. Like we're 40,000 years in the future, but we're gonna line up. I'm gonna shoot you with all my guys. You're gonna get shot, and then whoever's still alive is gonna return the fire. Right? It's kind of like the old
Well,
school.
you need to play Horus Heresy then for the reactions. I got Vivek into Horus Heresy.
No way.
We
Oh, serious?
after Saturday, I think we were just like at the bar, and I was talking him through, it, and he's just like, "Okay, I think I play Horus Heresy now because you've got those reactions."
Yes. and and the reactions are in Warcry as well, which is still alternating activation, but you get the reactions on top of the alternating activations, which is really cool. But I think the more they can get to that, it becomes more like chess, and I think that ultimately is just such an engaging experience. Like you can't switch off in a kill team game ever. Like you're
Yeah.
absorbed for the entirety of the game, and you just I love it because I never had a real chance to I was building a business and like always working, and I never felt like I could actually get like a nice thing that would separate me from all the thoughts that are always like. So to have something that you're like right in front of someone and you don't think of anything else in the world except that game for like the 2 hours or usually 2 hours or the three and 4 hours in the world championships. I mean, I think I've come out of kill team tournaments feeling like exhausted, but then refreshed in soul and refreshed in mind, you know? So I think it's awesome. And then the painting and having to do all the different factions, like me and Thomas always were looking when we were playing Warhammer Fantasy at all the 40K factions and being like, that's sick. I wish we could play that. But I have to pay 200 like 2,000 to get this whole team or the Tau. Like Tau
Yeah.
looks sick, but I need to spend like 200 hours to build a team or something, right? So it's great in that scenario, right? But let's talk about the socials from the weekend. What were you guys' favorite part? You mentioned the socials, so I think we should go there, Devin.
Barbecue.
Oh yeah, let me bring that up.
I mean, we didn't have that many social. I mean, you had the lunch, but I think barbecue, and I think the late night Waffle House the last night as well.
Yeah.
Just everyone
Really.
collapsing at a Waffle House.
Yeah,
George being like a kid in a candy shop almost with how happy he was with it.
yeah. He was really happy about the waffle. And
So
Waffle House is so interesting. I don't know if we have any photos from that night at the Waffle House. We were just that was last night. We were all just like, let's eat
Yeah,
as much as we can. But this barbecue was amazing,
yeah,
honestly.
it was
This is a
very
sick
good.
photo
Yeah,
too. But we were outside. It was funny they didn't sit us until we had the perfect nine people. They're like,
that is an odd rule that
yeah,
they had.
the lady at the front, she's like, we're like, there's eight of us now. We can sit, and this area was fully free. And she's like, you're still incomplete party. I'm sorry, we're gonna have to make you wait. We're like, okay, we'll wait
I mean, in their defense, they didn't have a lot of sitting space inside,
inside. Yeah,
and I don't think anyone else really ate outside because it's too cold for them. Like we were under the heating lamps,
yeah,
but it
Yeah,
was okay for us. We're talking about Atlanta natives, right? If it's
yeah,
below 22 Celsius, they put a jacket on.
yeah.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The Canadians were like, yeah, this is warm. This is great. Yeah, and what did you guys have? What did you order at this barbecue? I had the three meats and the coleslaw, which was great.
I did the pulled pork, the brisket, and the Frito-Lay chili stew. It was basically chili. They took a bag of Frito corn chips, cut open the top, they poured chili inside of it, and mixed it up.
It looked wild. It
Just
came
Oh
with
yeah,
the Fritos bag
yeah. It
on
was
the
served in
plate.
the Fritos bag. Yeah, it
yeah, it was
was.
good.
It was amazing. I mean, it's Southern barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was I felt so good after this meal. Like my body was like revving at 1,000%. It was like that was perfect food for what we needed. Cole, what do you have?
I think I had the pulled pork and brisket. I think like I had mac and cheese. So very good. Very good.
Nice. Yeah, that mac and cheese looked delicious as well, man. That was I was like begging to go there the last night, but we finished so late because of all the awards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
But it was good because we got that Waffle House experience with all of us, which had you been Koa to Waffle House prior to that
No,
or
that was my first time, so yeah, it was
yeah,
good.
we went for the lunch. I was saying that like reincarnated me because I was like fully
yeah,
dead. Devin was just laughing at me. He's like Devin
yeah.
was like literally saving my life for like half of that trip. He's like, bro, don't cross the street. I'm
Man,
just
you were
like
on
a
the
dead man
phone.
walking.
The number of times you almost like stepped into the street, it's just like Jesus Christ, you're gonna get killed. And then we finally get in, and you just like face plant onto the tabletop, and just like we have to order for you almost.
Yeah. I could not talk. I was just so wiped at that point. Yeah. But Devin, you were like the whole weekend, you were like so sharp on top of everything.
I crashed after. Like when
Oh,
I got home, that's when it ended. Yeah.
yeah. Because we're on this high, right? I was literally, I just slept in this morning as well. But like for this past 2 weeks after World Championships, I've just been like, exhaustion has been my like base standard. And I've had like 6 to 7 espressos to start the day, like minimum. And even if I'm like trying to get a catch up sleep, I still I'm like I slept 8 hours. I'm still like dead. I'm still exhausted. Koa, how are you? How did you feel after it?
I regretfully decided to TO a tournament like like the next weekend.
No way.
My brain was just like gone. So and then on top of that, I think we had a person draw, so I had to jump in, so I had to play NTO and like be a ringer, and I was just like, I was just gone. I think I could barely remember that turn right now, but it was good.
Wow. You just propping up the scene. We have to prop up the scene.
Yeah,
Keep it going, right?
ain't no rest for the wicked, they say.
Yeah. And Devin, you were saying that you were actually like I personally have not played a single game since World Championships, getting into the hobby side and video side more, but you said you were like expecting to be a little wiped out, but now you've been playing.
So I haven't played since Worlds. I'm playing my first game this Wednesday. Then we're gonna be playing some more this weekend with like the Montreal crew. But I don't know. I thought I was gonna be burnt from Kill Team especially. But it's just coming back from it, having such a good experience at Worlds because I didn't make it out of pods. I think that's something we're going to talk about. I think that helped me have a good experience. It's just you see what we can do and you start planning for the next year. It's like, okay, what are we going to do for Clash? What are we going to do for CTC? What teams do I need to prep in case they do release a decent meta change and it's no longer Legionaries and Warp Coven?
Mhm.
So it's just the wheels start to spin, and we're also talking with the group about building up the Montreal scene. So it's you think you're going to be dead, but then it's like you're reinvigorated in some ways.
Yeah, and
So
it gets us excited, like meeting, talking here like this, like excited about what's upcoming for the Canadian scene. We want to do a Toronto Open. We're gonna do a three-person team tournament this upcoming Saturday,
oh, nice.
which is
Oh,
really
that's fun.
exciting. We're gonna have the Waterloo guys come in. We're gonna have the Rochester guys come in and have a team. So, if you're not doing anything this weekend, Devin,
I am. We have our Montreal Kill Team meeting where we plan out next year this weekend.
nice, nice. Koa, just take a flight out. Bring two other Regina guys.
Yeah, yeah. Eventually, you do want to make it out on one of the things. So
And the TO Open could be the start of like getting everyone together and meeting in Toronto. And
yeah, you guys
we're
have a
still
very
planning
strong
that.
scene there. I think you have like usually regular like 20 plus people, or what I've seen with tournaments, anyways.
Yeah, the Toronto scene proper would have like 20 to 30 people, and then the Waterloo scene is just an hour away. So the Waterloo Kitchener with Chimera, which is like an amazing store. So we will go there and have like 20 people as the regular. And then the Hamilton scene now is building, is going to be like a 40-person tournament run by Ryan, who's an incredible guy. And we've been doing tournaments in his basement and he calls it the Basement Bastards. And he literally, no word of a lie, cooks for us. He doesn't
Jesus
take any
Christ.
money, he just cooks for us. And
Like that's a
then
pretty good tournament.
yeah. And so he's bringing down like pulled pork. He has like a hot dog eating contest halfway through. Um, and he had more prizes than NYO in the last tournament we went. So I
Oh
think that's
wow,
where he
okay.
got 40 out. But between Chimera, which is just incredible experience, the Maple Leaf Wargaming, and then the Hamilton scene building, I think we have like some cities in between, like Burlington and things like that, in the general 40 to an hour drive, who are also starting with stores. So it's actually really exciting. We went from like, I hope we can play one tournament once a year, like me and my brother when we knew no one, to now there's like a tournament every like 2, 3 weeks, which is really exciting.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But let's dive deep into your games from the World Championships here, and take us through kind of like how your games went. Who was your top opponent, the top game in terms of excitement for you, and maybe the top game in terms of challenge for you? Go on, maybe we'll lead the way with you.
Yeah, I'm sure. Luckily, I broke this all down, so I remember most of these because everything's a blur right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, went 5-5. First day, I faced against Franco from Argentina, who's running Warp Coven. So, and in my practice games with Warp Coven, I guess the player I was facing hadn't taken this tech before, which I wasn't used to,
Yes.
which was basically the full seek with Dev on top. And then like any chip damage against like a Harlequin Void Dancer, they just hate. Oh, he like unfortunately I didn't realize that because the counter would be either using your super conceal ploy or getting obscuring, but I didn't know that. So I had like gunners positioned on this was on Volcus. So I had gunners positioned on the right flank on my view, and then basically he was able to get like a lucky seek on top of like me not being saved, so it injures like a gunner, and then that side just like instantly loses, and that's like basically what all she wrote for that side. But there was I guess it was like a hard lesson to learn because I might have played my games more casually, which was there was a instance where he played all his dust against my leader. So my leader like charged in. I'm gonna merc a flamer Rubric Marine. And I had Wraithbone Talisman up to make sure to kill him, but my leader like rolled atrociously. He like rolled like I want to say like 2 hits and a crit or something, and then he can all his dust to like live. but I could have like tapped the Wraithbone Talisman, and I had to get a judge called over and everything. But I basically, when he said he was going to use all his dust, I was like, well, I'm going to use Wraithbone Talisman. But the thing was, in the sequencing, you're supposed to like mention Wraithbone Talisman prior. It was very weird because usually I'm just like, well, I'm going to use Wraithbone Talisman, but he already mentioned he had all his dust. And by then, the wording wise, if he played all his dust, that means I would have had used a dice to strike. So
That's tough. Did you use a dice already? Like you're like I'm gonna strike, or
at that time, I don't think I put any dice out. We are just talking through the ploys, and then he just mentioned it all his dust, and I was like, oh, we're gonna use all his dust. I'm gonna use Wraithbone Talisman. But
yeah,
the by then it was like the sequencing was passed, so I couldn't do that. So that changed the entire side because I could have like killed a rubric and like battled for the right hand side, which is with the side I lost on. But that was like another whole thing.
yeah, that's tough because like usually I think it has to be like you can talk things out, but when the first dice is struck, that's when the actual so
Yeah,
you still have the opportunity before any rerolls or anything like that. Like Wraithbone Talisman, you should be able to take the two dice and
yeah, you have
replace
to
it with one
be.
hit.
Yeah, that was a hard lesson to learn where you have to be very specific on the sequencing. So that's a cost me it. But like this will be a trend through like the entire all my entire games. Like I don't think I've like scored lower than 11 victory points. So I had only high scoring games. But even if I've lost, I'd had high scoring games.
And what were you taking? What tac ops were you taking for Void Dance?
The funny thing is, I only took the same primary and the same tack up every game because I was like too afraid to like move off of it. All I did was I took plant beacons and I took primary tack up. That's all I took for all my games. And I like the reason why because it's like very hard to deny, and it's also like I've mostly always either max score it or get 3 on the primary. So I just like there was like no reason to go off of it. So that's like literally all I took all game, and it was very successful. Like even into horde teams like Wormblade and Farstalker, like I was fine running it with it.
Because you always have that extra APL because Void Dancers don't inherently shoot twice or fight twice.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah,
Usually, if you're getting the charge fight shoot off, that's like your bread and butter. That's the best. But if not, you can always just plant a beacon wherever you are, right?
yeah. I had thought it was so good because usually like people at this table or level, they're not going to give you the charge fight shoot, or like you said, like you're gonna have a leftover APL that you don't know what you're gonna do with. It also is very useful to play with counteract on it. So that's why I found I've used like that a lot, which was just like charge fight shoot, they come around again, and I plant beacon, and then you just do like that's like a VP right there. So it's like a huge swing
Yeah.
while you're doing trades on top of that.
And that's what Void and Vivek said for us as well. I was like, we were talking about APL efficiency, and I was like, oh, plant beacons. I wasn't taking it because of the APL efficiency, but then they're like, yeah, I would just do it on the counteract. And I was like, you guys, I'm like, I forgot that you could
It's
like
like
do
so
your
good.
tac up on a counteract, right? So on the tac ops that I didn't take plant beacon, I was punished, right? You can punish contain secure grounds hard. So I don't I think plant beacons the whole time getting 3 min is the way to go, right? So
Like like initially I liked confirm kill a lot. I still think it's very good, but when I played with Vivek with my practice game into Inquisition, I didn't realize that you can block confirm kill by just contesting it. You don't need to even control it. You just need to contest it, and you can't pull the token, which like costed me like all my VP. And I was like, I'm never running confirm kill again. I'm just gonna do plant beacon because it's guaranteed.
yeah.
But I still think confirm kill is very good.
Yeah. What Devin, what tac ops did you select?
I typically ran either seize ground or contain
Okay.
because Angels of Death you're stuck with security or a seek and destroy, and seize ground is very strong in Volcus if you've got a stronghold on the center line. Because
Yes.
especially with Angels of Death, I'm 3 APL, so I just need to put 2 bodies in it, and any horde team needs to throw at least 3, and they need to survive my counteracts.
Yeah.
And plus, if you're in the stronghold, I always fight first. So that's how I won my game into Inquisition. Was I just stacked 3 guys right on the door. And I was just like, please come fight me.
Come fight me.
And so everyone was concealed behind the blocking gas tanks in that big stronghold. So no one could shoot me unless they went into my half of the board to get shot by my sniper. So
It was
it was
really
it was oppressive.
just like the yeah, the sniper and the void dancer, the mystic, I
I
can't
like
remember.
the Shadow Seer.
Yeah, the shadow seer, yeah. Those are both like really great control pieces
Yeah,
that can
they
operate in
don't shoot
sound.
often. Like I think my eliminator averaged maybe a shot a game.
Oh, wow.
But it's more he controls like half the board. If you get the right board setup, if you win initiative and you're able to get the third vantage height in your deployment zone or closer so you can get to it with that reposition scouting option with the ladder, because my eliminator has a 7-inch move. So if I have the ladder placed properly, I can get up to that top sniper spot as part of my scouting step and have the entire first turning point as a threat. And for 1 AP, I ignore obscuring until my next activation, so I even ignore obscuring during my counteracts. And I have a seek light option as well.
And can you activate that seek light option during your counteract?
The seek light option is a weapon profile.
Ooh,
Yeah,
Yeah, just built in.
yeah. I've got 3 weapon profiles for my sniper. The seek light you don't typically take in you don't typically use it in Volcas. It's more for Into the Dark, but your 4 shots hitting on 2, 3, devastating 3, uh, piercing, and also I had the saturate chapter tactic. So yeah, so it's so I typically just use the mortis profile. 4 shots hitting on 2, 3, devastating 3, piercing 1, silent, and saturate because of my chapter tactic. And if I'm shooting on my turn and he only dashes, it's severe.
wow. That's
So
that's a profile and a half.
yeah.
Wow.
And even the Seek Light one, it's 4-2, 3-4, saturate Seek Light. So it's double saturate, right? Because of my chapter tactic, but it's Seek Light. And it's a bolter. Hitting on 2s, saturate Seek Light.
That's good. That's
So
really
it's a
good.
menace.
Yeah.
That's really good tech. We have
The
it on the screen here for everyone watching on YouTube and on Spotify. We'll have the video version of this as well. But that's incredible. And
the
what was your, I would say, like, what was your most surprising game, or like the game that you didn't expect to win that you, I know you mentioned the two. We'll go for both of you guys. What was the most like that you think that the matchup's hard and you pulled it out?
Legionary, honestly. Inquisition, if you're able to get a good map layout, you just shoot them down. Because especially as Angels of Death, I have a lot of access to free ploys. You know, if I'm running my sergeants, I get my free doctrines, which gives me balanced.
The sergeant here.
Yeah, the sergeant doctrine warfare.
Yeah.
And then I've got my purity seals that allow me to swap 2 misses for a hit. I've got Wrath of Vengeance for free on Engage. So their denying of ploys, I don't really care. The toughest one is Legionaries because it's a mirror matchup, but they have more tools. And so the only reason why I won my mirror match, my game into Legionaries, is because his champion charged a regular assault intercessor warrior and whiffed. So his champion, first activation turning point 2, died. Because he charged into me, he whiffed it, and I hit him back, and I killed him.
And that's the aspiring champions, not the chosen, right?
I forget exactly what he ran, but it didn't matter
Yes.
because I was running, at that point, if I'm correct, I had done the ploy to change my chapter tactic for the... Did I swap it for the double, or did I swap it for Rend? I think I swapped it to get Rend in melee.
And
So
which one's that?
Yes.
It's
So
is it combat doctrine here?
yeah, so I had combat doctrine for sure to get balanced in assault. No, I did. I don't think I didn't even do the firefight play because it was on his activation. Yeah, I just had balanced in melee. And because the one that lets me change my chapter, there's one that lets me change my chapter tech. No, is that a strategic play?
I
Look,
think the adjust doctrine here is the one where before after you perform an action,
Yeah.
you can change the
Well,
combat.
so I never changed my doctrines. My doctrines were always set at the strategic level. But yeah, there was a changed a chapter tactic,
Oh yes,
and so that one is it is a strategic ploy.
yes, I think it's here.
Yeah, adaptive tactics. Yeah, and I think I swapped it because normally I run the saturate severe for the shooting stuff, but what I did is I swapped severe to rending in melee, and I also have tilting shields. So tilting shields is once per turning point in melee. You can only crit me on natural sixes.
That tilted shield is really
So
good.
so he couldn't crit me. I got lucky. I re-rolled into a six. I gave me two crits on a heavy chainsword, which is 4/5, and he whiffed.
Yeah, that's turned the game right there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like the toughest play in all of Warhammer is when you charge in, you fight, and then you die in your own activation.
Yes.
It's probably like the most devastating play because then your opponent gets like a free kill and then they can just do whatever they want after that.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say legionaries are the hardest also because lots of people ran Nurgle and Anointed. So
Mm,
once the Anointed goes demon form, he's basically got two feel no pains, and he ignores piercing one, and.
yes.
So I got lucky
Yeah.
in that matchup to be sure.
When I played a Legionary in NYO, I would just always go my three melee operatives would always be Khorne, and then the Chosen would have like a 5/8 profile, and then
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Anointed would have a 5/6 profile, and then the Shrive Talon would also have 5/6, and and the Anointed would have ceaseless and everything. So these guys are just like behemoth. If you just run them into anything, and especially the Chosen just re-heals after he kills someone, it's just crazy. And then Zinj was I just did everyone else was on Zinj, but that Legionary into the intercession, or sorry, now Angels of Death, because you don't have any anti-piercing. They didn't give the poster
Yeah.
boys anti-piercing, but they gave Warp Coven and Legionaries anti-piercing. Then that's an uphill. Did you play any Warp Coven, Devin?
Nope. No Warp Coven, no Hyrotech. I got lucky with that. I mean, my pod, I think I was in one of the healthier pods. I had I don't even think I had any Warp Coven in my pod. I had a Plague Marine, some Blooded, Hyrotech, Legionaries, Blades of Cain. That was a fun, easy fight. Salvagers and myself. So yeah, I dodged all the Warp Coven.
Oh, wow. And
Yeah.
Koa, did you faced one Warp Coven you were saying?
Yeah. My pod was also pretty funky. It was like probably the weirdest pod. I had Legionnaires, Farstalker Kinban, another Void Dancer troop, Inquisition, World Coven, Hyrtech, Phobos, Handy Archon, and Wormblade. So it was a very good spread.
That's a great spread. That's really cool. And what was your most surprising game?
I had two, but mostly they were based on like whiffs, I'd say. Like the my first surprising game, I'd say like it was against like Orion, which was like a previous like world champion winner when he was running Farstalker Kinban, and like he definitely showed me they're like nothing to scoff at because like trying to play around the pistolier that can just shoot first is just like so brutal because he has an ability where if you select him as a shoot action, he just like shoots you first. So even if you guarded, he just shoots you. So I was fighting him on ITD, and I was so afraid of his poach because I faced two Farstalker Kinban, but poach surprisingly never came up, and I have never played again into Farstalker Kinban. I just knew they were like not great, but they were like very good at objectives. And in this edition, like anything goes, so maybe they're very good into elves. Maybe he just got unlucky where his guy like went in the room, I like guard, and obviously he shot first, and he usually guarantees the kill or at least like injures me. He like whiffs all of them. I crack grenade him back, and then basically just like lost that entire side. Um, so that was like a one that I thought would either be super close or he might have taken it because some of the games that I might have done really well usually doesn't reflect how big of a swing the score could be. So you could
Yes.
have a very close game, but the swing could be like 5 victory points just because you maybe made one mistake or lost a room. The other instance was they played Brandon, which I think he's considered like the number one Blooded player. And I knew Blooded were pretty very good, and he was also on ITD. And I had played Bud before, but he like mastered the map layouts. Like he mentioned to me like he knew his threat ranges as soon as he dashed a guy or moved a guy to open a door. So he just like knew the battle plan completely for this
Wow.
Blooded play in ITD. But somehow through the luck of Sakarax, he just like I guess mispositioned his guy that couldn't reach the room to hatchway fight. So he just gave me a free kill, but he literally almost pulled it back where he just like started dropping clowns left and right. He like his medic, this one right side of the room, he had like an Ogren and then like a shield guy and then like some other guy with like a medic near there. I like decimate that room. Like my fusion kills the Ogren. I do like this super cheeky play where you like hit him with the blade, fall back, and then fusion him, and that just deletes the Ogren, even though he rolled like 4 crits. I just like felt so bad because like he like rolled like 4 crits. He's like, I'm gonna murder this fusion elf. I'm like, I was gonna hit you and I'm gonna fall back and I'm gonna fusion you.
Oh
It's so
my
dirty.
God.
It was so dirty.
What
But
so the fallback because you get the free ploy, right?
yes,
That's
it's a free
Curtain
fallback.
Falls, right?
Yeah,
That was the Curtain Falls, right? So you struck with a crit with severe,
yeah,
right? Which is
yeah.
amazing that they have severe now. And then you ended that sequence. Did he charge you or you charged him?
I charged him. So that was my entire plan was to like this is like will be a common move that if newer players are playing Void Dancers, like this is a common move, especially against Marines or higher wound operatives that you know you can't kill. You just like always take the blades. You're always going to get a crit. Then you're going to fall back and shoot them. So even if you don't kill them, they're going to be chipped hard enough where if they even attempt to charge and fight you, they'll die. That's like a 101 move for Void Dancers there.
And it's free because of the luck of the Laughing Gods.
Yes, it could be free for a player. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, very good.
I'm gonna show that here. So we got the players. So each of the players has you put them with blades, right? Which has the severe 5 attacks, 3 ups, 4 5 damage with severe. So you're gonna be doing 5 damage, and
Yeah, I
then
can guarantee the 5.
yeah, guaranteed 5, and then you can use the firefight ploy of Curtain Falls for free, and then you just shoot them with your amazing fusion pistol, which is
Oh yeah, it's a delete
my
button.
favorite as a Void Dancer player. It's just point click delete.
The noble thing about that as well is it does counter some factions that tax it. So for example, Inquisition that can block certain employees, they can't block this if you use 0 CP, and they also Honey Archon can't tax you if you use a 0 CP as well. So it's very good as a counter to that.
That's a really cool play there. Yeah. I played a little tournament with Inquisition, but that's like part of the juice is like being able to stop the Curtain Falls. But you're like, you can't stop the Curtain Falls or Murderous Entrance because they cost
Yeah,
me 2 OCP per turn.
but
It's only once though.
Once, yeah, it's
yeah,
once.
yeah,
Yeah.
once per turn. Yeah,
Once,
No, once per battle. You can't use the same firefight ploy
yeah, yeah,
more than once per battle
yeah, yeah.
yes.
for that.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
can use like current falls for one turning point, and then you can use Merged Entrance, but you can't use them again in the following.
Yeah, but it's nice too because you that in the pivotal turn 2 or 3,
Yeah.
that Inquisition player can't like block that one for next turn. And I would say those two are your bread and butter, right? Those two should be Curtain Falls and then Murderous Entrance.
Yeah, they're they're just like 1-1. You're always gonna use them. 100%.
Yeah. And so you could do if your opponent doesn't have any crits, you can strike with a normal and then you can strike with a crit and then you can use Curtain Falls, right?
You have to strike with a normal for your second one if you have any. If you don't, then you could strike with a crit.
Okay, yes, I
Yeah.
see.
So
But if you're
usually you
facing
can't really pair them. The only time you could pair them would be you could like take some chip damage back. You could like Murderous Entrance for 2 normals. You take a hit back, and then you hit with a crit and then you fall back. Like you could do
Yeah,
that, but you couldn't do like what you did like in the last edition where you can like merge entrance and then immediately fall back. It's like it's more conditional now.
yeah, and I think that's a better. It's more that was a super feels bad for other people. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
to be like, Void Dancer just comes in and just does all max damage and then just out of there before I can even touch them, right? So I think in a lot of ways they made this edition like more powerful with that being free, but you don't have you. It's like I think everything they did was take the craziness on the ends of each team and just make them more logical and dialed in. So it's
No.
less because even with Brood Brothers, you had that play where you're just doing like the out of activation dash, and then you're gonna go, and then you're gonna blow up. You're gonna throw the demo. Then you're gonna. It's like I like that the teams don't have like, okay, I'm just gonna take this team and do two set plays with them the whole time, right? Now it feels like there's a lot more range to be competitive with these teams, right?
No.
So, what was your favorite match in terms of fun, Devin?
So for pure fun, I'd have to say Ben. That last game into Ben Campbell because he said like, "Look, it's my last game. Let's just go straightforward, unga bunga." And I said, "You know what? I will bunga your unga." And we just played like full on melee, like no thinking. Let's just least amount of distance between us. You know that shortest straight line. I managed to do some weird plays that caught him off guard. Sent in my grenadier, but not to fight. I sacked him to steal the point, the neutral point, and into the dark.
Wow.
And it's just because then I had the double crossfire of my gunner and my sniper. And it's just like, I'm gonna sack my grenadier because he had his icon bearer and his horn berserker, the guy with the chain axe, just there hiding on the center point. I says, okay, I'm going to go steal the point, sacrifice my guy. He's like, I didn't expect that. But I would have to say that was for pure fun. It felt the closest to a casual game. I'd have to say that one.
I mean, I was right next to you guys, and
Yeah.
that I was saying from before, I was like, that was how Kill Team is meant to be played, and it looked like such a fun, and he's such a fun guy too. He loves Kill Team, and he's so like his personality is so gregarious, and just it looked like I was like, oh man, I'm like sweating my balls off next to you guys.
Playing breachers, like you were playing against breachers and you're going full sweat.
I went full sweat. I lost 4 games in a row prior to that game, so I really wanted to get my
Yeah,
fourth
win.
win. And I was like, there's no way I'm not getting 4 wins here. And so I sweat. And Alejandro was such a nice guy, but like I was probably like way too sweaty for what it called for that last game. But I was 15th overall, 5 games in, and then I lost 4 in a row. So I was like, oh man, I gotta recover here. But yeah, you guys look like you had so much fun next there. And Koa, what was your favorite game?
I'd say probably with Brandon with his Blooded. Like every single time I play Blooded, it's never a dull moment. Like they're always fun to play against. They're always fun to play as. Even though he like had just like a minor misposition, which he thought at first would have cost him a game, he's a very good player. So just to see him like crawl back, like there was a point near the last turning point where he just needed to kill a player, where he would have literally tied the game. So it just goes to show like never give up because you can claw back. Unfortunately, he like whiffed super hard when he needed it on the player, and then like I think he goes like of like a power sword leader where you got like a charge fight shoot. He like whiffed on his fight, and that was like game right there. So that and like his medic literally killed my fusion player that killed like the one right side of the room. Just seeing the medic like consistently rolling like he never had good rolls throughout the game, but his medic somehow was like always rolling like triple crits in a hit, like every single time. And I was like, what is happening?
Wow,
So
that's so the medic essentially what you're saying is that he gave the wrong drugs to the rest of the team.
yeah, he like
He
for some
just
reason
hyped himself
carried the
up.
one room. Yeah.
He's like beast mode, injects himself, and just goes like haywire.
Yeah, he like was a nightmare. Like of all operatives, like a tooth las gun was like murdering my like players.
Dude, that's I think for Brood Brothers, I had like you could take the equipment where it gave them like better shooting. I forget what it was in Brew Brothers, but I
Yeah,
had some things where like the comms and the medic just like, okay, we're looking dicey here. Let's just go all out, and they would get surprising kills with the 2-3 las gun.
yeah. It's like if you roll it, you roll it. So it's good.
Yeah. I'm gonna show you guys. Just gonna upload. I'm gonna try to get Ratman on eventually. I'm gonna show you guys. I'm just uploading. Started making a blooded team because they do look
Oh yeah,
fun, but
they
it's
are
gonna be
fun.
Skaven blooded. For me, it makes so much sense because they're just like they want to die and they're just all crazy and
Yeah.
they have the rat ogre that I make as the ogrin and
Oh, that's
now
fun.
in AOS the new god of chaos is the rat. Like they've added a fifth god of
Yeah.
chaos, which is the rat. So we don't have any Skaven in 40K, so we're gonna try to get them in and do the Ratlings as well. The new team, I'm gonna make them as actual rats. That's gonna be fun. But yeah, what do you guys think of what do you guys think of the new teams? Maybe we'll talk about them for a sec here.
I think the Ratlings are interesting, but I think they're just straight up too small. They can't see over light barricades.
Yeah, let's
Hmm.
yeah see right here. Yeah, I mean look like this is how small they are and like this guy that's crouching. I mean like the in the doorway you see like all these like light things that look like a barricade can barely look over, right? Especially these guys that are small here.
They're always gonna be on like the ends of terrain, I guess.
Yeah, they can hang out on the side. I think it would be interesting because that's kind of an advantage. It's a disadvantage if you want to just like go on and engage and take a shot, but it could be an advantage if you get those out of activation dashes, dash to the side, and then nobody can return fire because they can't even draw visibility to you. So you don't actually have to switch back to conceal. You can just kind of remain on engage and just be like just dash back and you can't even be touched. Like Volkis will be interesting because they won't be able to see over those Volkis walls at all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I wonder even for the vantage terrain, like would they even be able to see over any of the vantage terrain? I think there's maybe like one or two spots.
yeah,
That's
yeah. I have to see the models just up against it. I'm very curious.
yeah. What do you if you guys were to play one of these teams, which one would you play?
Oof.
Well, that's easy for me. It's gonna be the Rekkas. I just love the Unga Bunga elite orcs. Like I love pseudo elites. I love the void dancers. Also hate models and orcs. That's a that's a yes for me. 100%.
Nice.
I think for me it would still be the Ratlings, just for play them as super pathfinders.
Yeah.
Just really go hard on the firing line, and it's something different playing around. I think playing around the height restrictions would be interesting. And then see how they play with like the Ogrins and the Bullgrins. The Wrecker crew do look interesting. I just don't like that they have dice fixing.
Mm.
Now, I think that's a problem. I think GW is relying too much on dice fixing for
Yeah.
stuff.
The fate itself is my weapon is the first thing that we saw, which you actually have dice fixing, and then the Zinch ploys as well, where you're just like you miss, but actually no, it's
Yeah.
two crits and a hit, right? I think
Then you have novitiates, and now
yeah,
this.
exactly.
Yeah.
Rolling and like we were saying in your surprising games, like sometimes you go in and you whiff or your opponent goes in and whiffs and that becomes part of the narrative of the game, right? So I think having that hopefully it'll be balanced because you have to get crits in order to and you have to roll crits first to get those points, right? For the record crew.
For some of them. For some of the other ones, you can spend them for free even if you don't have any.
Oh yes.
And they do have, I think, the guy with the rocket pack. Like it's only used once, but it's relentless. So you're rolling 6 dice, and then you're re-rolling them. So you're guaranteed to get what, 2 or 3 6s out of that,
Yeah.
plus everything else. Plus, I think the basic guys. Do you get a wreck it point if you destroy terrain with them? They've got a way to rack up the points.
Wow.
Yeah, I think their leader can generate an additional one. Weirdly enough, I don't think their break terrain thing creates Rekka points.
You know, somebody mentioned on our Great Lakes Discord, I think it was Mark, that I was like, yes, this idea is so amazing. He's like, who here is gonna paint the team pink and just be like all Kool-Aid guys and just
Yeah,
just
yeah, that's pretty good.
break through the wall like yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good, especially with like the Volca strain where you can like blow open the stockades for this new box. Yeah, like I think they're a cool team. I think they're mechanically interesting with the high amount of rolls, low chance to hit. Especially they have like the pulse missile, where
That's
it's like the
helpful.
first weapon that targets a point on the ground in kill team. I think that's very interesting. My only problem is the dice fixing.
Mhm.
If they just nerfed it because it's 3 dice. So let's say you roll your 6, you get a crit and a hit. You then spend, so you got a 6, so that's a Rekka point. You're already going to have Rekka points. You turn it into a crit 4 hits,
Yeah.
and that's a lot of damage. That will blow stuff up,
Yeah.
and that's into Marines. If you're going into the Ratlings or any elf, anything that's less than 10 wounds,
Auto
you
kill.
don't even need to spend all your points.
Yeah.
So that's my only concern with them, though. But it's too bad because it is a very orcish team.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like it's almost like pseudo. They have like pseudo AP just by weight of dice. Like most of their guns are 6 attacks. So if you like you mentioned, if you like just if you hold on 3 Rekka points, like you can just like get 6 hits. That's a lot of damage. That's like that'll delete anything and like put a Marine to 2 wounds if they're lucky on their saves.
Yeah. And having 6 dice across a whole team is is it the whole team that has 6 dice?
Every rocket attack is 6 dice.
And the Rocket Boy on the Commandos was really potent. I faced in New York the orcs before they were commandos. So the greenskins, so it's compendium greenskins. Um, a wonderful guy called Eric Cecil, but he brought 2 Rocket Boys, and it was kind of like 2 Rocket Boys, 3 huge guys, and I was playing Brood Brothers, and my patriarch battled 3 of these huge orc guys in the center. We both took secure ground, and we were both trying to seize this one access point. So it was a really cool game where like the orcs were loud and proud coming in, shooting these rockets, fighting, and that was Compendium. I'm sure Eric's going to be really pumped about this team. But it was fun. Like I think that's the way that we kind of had a Commandos meta all of last year, or I guess this year, last edition, but like let's say from August all the way till last August. So I think it's going to be cool to see these loud and proud orcs come in. And the Commandos, I think, have no chance into Legionary or any of these high powered
No.
teams right now.
Well, I mean, Legionary Commandos though are only classified for the rest of this year,
Yes.
right? So I mean, I think that's one thing that's going to be interesting to see is so we know all the Games Workshop stuff. So your all your North American Open stuff, plus Worlds, plus all their Warhammer World stuff, Adepticon, and everything is going to be classified only. Do the rest of the large tournaments run classified only? Because if they run classified only, then at the end of this year, well, by this time next year, Commandos, Legionaries, Warp Coven, basically all of the current meta teams, except for Higher Tech and Inquisition, are going to be out.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think hopefully with this new balance data slate, there'll be I'm really excited for an elf meta. I don't know about you guys, but
Oh yeah,
there's never been a
all the war
mid-range
dancers.
slash elf meta. Like there's always been either hordes, now we're in a full elite meta. So I'll be excited to see the elves, which are they're trickier, they're harder to play because they're so unforgiving in terms of you make a mistake and then you guys are insta dead. So I'd be interested to see that. How about you guys? What do you hope the balanced data slate is going to bring about?
I hope for how this, if we're going by fixing the current stuff, I hope Legionaries one of two things. I either hope legionaries get locked into their marks for a whole tournament like Angels of Death, or I hope Angels of Death can choose at least their secondary chapter tactic per model, or are allowed to switch their chapter tactics per game. And I hope Warp Coven they just delete them.
Put them back to where they were before, just
Yeah.
Yeah,
non-playable.
give them the Breacher -1 operative.
Yeah, I mean, as playing Warp Coven, and I lost like my 9 straight games into Warp Coven before I switched into them. They feel like you just feel like the power of Zinch just like coursing through you. It feels like every game you play, and especially my experience, I was like, this is mine to lose. Like I feel good into every matchup. I can always like tech into if I'm playing elves, I have 6 Zangors now. And now we're 9. Now I out activate Void Dancers. This is like ridiculous, right? And then like if I'm playing elites, okay, I'll have 2 more activations and that'll allow me to do whatever I want. And then the slingshots and all those kind of things. So I hope they tone those down a lot because having the ability to like do a 5 APL move and then you slingshot back into conceal pretty much just feels like you're not even playing a game anymore. It's just like I'm gonna do this move and you have no answer for it, right? So yeah. How about you, Koa? What are you looking forward to?
For the balanced data slate, yeah, I agree as well. It's like just toning down the elites. They they either got to attack something or limit things like the one of the big issues with Warp Coven why they're so good is like obviously like the dice fixing on top of the like ignore piercing. They have that, yeah, and like they have like the just a scratch light, and then like the healing. The healing I think is like the biggest thing. Like just
Also, the
being able,
2-up on rubrics.
yes, 200 Rubik's is very strong. The yeah, something about like limiting their healing or something because being able to like heal twice in a turn is just like brutal. Like coming from like fighting Hyrotech a lot because my friend loves playing Hyrotech. It's just like brutal when there's like living metal and I'm gonna revive and then I'm just gonna shoot you again. That's a whole. I think Hyrotech should be also toned down just because like you can do some crazy moves with them. Like for example, there's just one move where they can do where they can just sack a guy because they can revive after. So you can like Chronomancers like slingshot guarded death mark within 2 inches of a guy, kills him. Then you're gonna like return fire, kill a death mark, but then he can revive 3 inches further into your like drop zone. And then if he takes initiative, he can just like command through the death mark and blast people within your drop zone. Gets more wild because just
Wow.
the combos you can do with them. So something with Hyrotech getting toned down with their Cryptex, maybe like limiting the range or taxing it.
Actually, I think for higher tech, it's simpler. You make them count as fewer models for the kill ops.
Yes, it
Because the
really
fact that they
like
screw with kill ops is really annoying. Because the problem is that they're 11 wounds, so you don't get 2 VP for confirmed kill or for champion. So they're only 1 VP unless you kill the boss for those kill based tac ops. And then they screw with your kill op because they keep coming back.
yeah. I mean, in one of my games, I actually faced Adrian, the guy who won Las Vegas Open. He was running Hyrotech. At first, I was like okay into Psychomancer, but there was like a big stronghold in the center. But I just didn't realize how big the bubble is. So the bubble like covered like I took like the top side with my Death Jester. But the thing is like they can outtrade you, so even if you go ahead and shoot them, like you're not gonna kill them, and then they'll just kill your guy on top. And on top of that, he turns off all rerolls and retains, which is crazy in itself.
Yeah, it's they have some because the rerolls is like my brother was facing Shane in the last match, Shane's last match prior to World Championships, and he just charged in with his Corsair leader and did like whiffed and couldn't do anything, right? So
Yeah.
it's worse than your kind of Blades of Cain where it's like contempt, right? But this is just like always on 8-inch bubble. It's kind of crazy, right?
Well, this it's just like feels bad because like for some factions, like I don't know how Hearth can Salvadors would fight against them because like the whole thing is like retaining like into crits or
Yes.
Yeah.
something. So if they just turn that off, like it just like makes it like an uninteractive experience.
Yeah.
Like for me, I had like obviously the flip belts and stuff, but like not getting rerolls in is rough. So just turning any faction ability off is like I don't know, not my vibe.
No. Did you guys see Pryan Nexus? Have you guys ever seen that?
The video.
It's really cool. It's on Warhammer Plus, and it has some really amazing like death mark. When Koa, you were talking about the death mark,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
death marks in Pride Nexus are really like potent, and they're just like zooming in and out of teleportation, shooting, and it's probably the best. It's probably the best EK like anything I've seen, and it's on Warhammer Plus, and
yeah.
it's
I think I've seen bits of it.
it's pretty gripping, and the fight scenes are actually really sick between like Angels of Death and the higher tech guys there, and then you have the cool Sisters of Battle in there as well. So it's really cool. I highly recommend it for everyone who hasn't seen it. They don't have a lot of like crazy like addicting content, let's say on Warhammer Plus yet. It's high quality, but some of the lore is a little bit they need to make it not just completely like depressing sometimes, where it's like there's no hope for any of humankind. You have to
But
have like some sort of storyline where there's some like, feel good at the end of it rather than just like, oh my God, they just all died in horrible way.
yeah, yeah,
And the survivors got turned into servitors.
yeah.
Exactly. Oh man, I'm gonna show you guys my team that I'm playing next. I want to hear a little bit about what you guys are excited to pick up next. Here, I'm gonna show you the rattlings here that I updated. Let me see. I don't think they're I don't think it's coming. It's not showing yet. But what are you guys interested? So I'm gonna do blooded rattlings, both in Skaven. But what are you guys excited? I know Harnkin with potential for you, Devin. Anything else on the horizon?
I want to give a try to either Aquilons or Vespids. Try to play them out of my comfort zone of playing as a shooting team. Like that's also why I want to try the Jaegers. Is I've played very shooting teams. It's been Angels of Death, Pathfinders, Breachers. So very aggressive, unengaged teams or Salvagers. I want to try something a little bit off meta for me. Try something a little bit more iffy, and if it doesn't work well, then I'll go back to playing either Corsair or Salvagers or Angels of Death for the rest of this year. But I want to try, yeah, it's either going to be Jaegers or Aquilons most likely.
Nice. I mean, I have my Vespids right here because I'm pretty excited about them.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Pretty
nice.
They've
good.
got like glowing tails and stuff like that, and the yellow, the Imperial Fist is really awesome. So I'm excited. I'm excited for those two teams because that huge box came out and we haven't even like seen them really on the competitive scene,
Yeah.
except for Jason. Shout out to Jason who manned Vespids and finished second in one of our big tournaments. But Jason's an
Nice.
incredible player.
Well, actually, a guy from France brought Aquilons to Worlds, Remy.
Yes. Yeah.
How did he finish?
Yeah,
Two
Vespids were
placings.
no show in Worlds. No one brought them.
Remy went 2-8 with Aquilons. Yeesh.
That's yeah. See, they're not like I feel they were good for each other, but playing into the other ones.
I think it's all going to depend on that balance patch. If those top 3.5 teams, like so, top three would be Legionaries, Warp Coven, Inquisition, and that half would be Hierotek. If they get chipped down a couple of tiers, I think we're going to see some more space for everyone else. Because right now they are too overbearing. I mean, John posted his video where they did the stat analysis where like Warp Coven, if you get rid of like Legionaries or against like mirror matchups, like their win rates are 60%, no matter who.
Yeah, that's what
And that's going to skew the meta.
as I was saying about Warp Covens. Like I always felt like I should be winning because the tool sets were just
Yeah, they don't have any bad matchups. They just like I don't even can think of really a bad matchup for
you
them. They can
don't.
flex so easily.
Yeah, you don't have any bad matchups because every type of way that you can run the team, and it was funny because the Spanish were only running pure elite Warp Coven, and then we were in the Canadian scene running at least two Zangors at minimum. but like there's no bad way to run it because you have the dice fixing, you have the reroll, you have the just a scratch, you have the teleportation, you have the best play in the game that just allows you to flip back to conceal and have another dash, right? So it's crazy.
My concern is Plague Marines, actually, because we saw like there's a lot of talk about people bringing novitiates to Worlds, but then Plague Marines dropped, and no one brought novitiates because they were afraid of Plague Marines. My fear is that are the current meta teams, are they what are keeping Plague Marines out of the meta?
Well, for sure. Because I played Matt and he's such a wonderful guy and I beat him in the first match, but then he went like super hard and won most of his games after. So I didn't get to see the full potency of them because he was just warming up with them. But once he got rolling, like they're potent. They're a potent team. They're like, yeah, I mean, just as sticky as all the other elite teams, but then they have those. He wasn't making any of those 3-ups against me. They are like their staying power is amazing, and their mystic is just incredible. I made a non-Nurgle version of the team called the Emperor's Gardeners,
And
and so they're literally custodians. So I transferred my custodies, a couple of models, and the rest of them are Angels of Death. And then they all have seven. They're from like the Seventh Legion. There's just seven all over them, and they have flowers everywhere. And the guy has like a water cannon instead of like the.
I love that.
I'm not about the plague thing. I just don't really like. I'm not really into like the whole disease and plague stuff. I think I've been sick for too
That's
many
good. It's a
times,
good. It's a good
like
twist.
COVID 3 times. I was like, I don't want to
Jesus
be
Christ.
like I don't want to think about sickness or anything. So I'm like they're gonna be the gardeners. I like the earth, but yeah. Where Koa, did you say which team you wanted to try next? Are you gonna main Void Dancers or?
Yeah, I'm likely going to main Void Dancers until they're like cycled out. Because as much as I'd like people to go on classified tournaments, I think people are going to lean to classified tournaments. Just because like usually Games Workshop roughly sets a standard, and I guess like what I mentioned before, if like the big tournaments run it, then everyone's going to go classified. Like if LVO eventually goes classified, then everyone likely will also go classified.
Yeah,
Is the thing. So I'll get as much like void dancers out as much as possible, and then on the side I'll play with Rekkas because I like their just like the aesthetic, and I just like the one operative that can blow himself up with other people, just like the rocket hammer. I just love that idea. It's just hilarious. And then I've been playing around with Brood Brothers again, so I think that play. So I think yeah, like mentioned, once the top four get like hit down a bit, then a lot will rise. Like I think Void Dancers will just take that similar spot because they're very good. Because like even though I've lost like five of my games, I felt like they were winnable from that perspective, even at the current meta state. You just like some of them came down just to like me misplaying, and some of them just like came down to like my fusion just like whiffing hard. But I think like Void Dancers are very strong. Like
yeah,
that also goes to show like the one I think Bart from the UK, he like went like top overall, and then like I forgot, like, he was either seventh or eighth, or he was within like the top 16 for
yeah,
Void Dancers.
yeah. He finished best overall with the Void Dancers, and then because of his paint job, and he did finish, I think, yeah, like in the just outside the top five.
Yeah, he was eight. If we go overall, he was first overall if you count in hobby. But if you just go by playing, he was eighth.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a very good player.
Yeah, funny enough, so my first game of the edition was Commandos into Legionaries, and I played a new player, so I was like, I'm gonna bring Commandos, and then she just destroyed me. I was like, God, I'm gonna try something different now. And then I played on our first tournament at my brother's house. I played Void Dancers into Angels of Death and then into the Aquilons, and I got 2 wins. And
Mm.
Void Dancers were my favorite team from the last edition. I took them to LVO as well, and I was really excited to play them until I played Warp Coven with them, and then I was like, I can't bring these guys to Worlds anymore
It's
because I was like,
yeah, it's
I was
uphill.
like, oh my dear Jesus, this is like I'm gonna get crushed. So, kudos to you for bringing them and doing so well, and both you guys like just crushed it with Angels of Death and Void Dancers, and I'm excited for your next teams. I'm gonna show you. I found the photos of my blooded here. So that's gonna be the
Oh yeah.
Ogren. Um, and then we got the Bruiser over here. We got the leader. I put a little pistol on him.
Well, that is sick. I
Oh,
love the
yeah,
conversions.
those are nice.
And yeah, I put like the little blooded, like the kind of skulls and stuff. And then this guy's the butcher. So
Nice.
just kind of running around. But just like they're the same size as the hobbits. So I'm calling them hobbits officially. Yeah, I can't call them rattlers. But they're the same size as the rattlings, and so now for blooded, yeah, I have to put them on. I think like maybe an inch and a half of cork or something, just to get them
Yeah.
that like they actually have the same visibility life signs. Same. What am I trying to say? Sight lines. Your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
But yeah, before we end here, because I know we're on 1 hour 30, I want to highlight both of your scenes. Devin, I know you're gonna do kind of the planning this weekend for Montreal scene, but tell me about the scene, like how many guys you have, how is it growing?
So the scene's actually growing very well. So actually, they had a tournament the weekend after Worlds, and they had 16 people for a Rogue Trader, entry thing. So we're able to pull consistent numbers. We get about 14 people on average every other Thursday at one of the local stores. And so our goal is we want to grow it up. Our end goal is we want to run a 2-day GT in Montreal next year and get a couple of golden tickets. And it looks like we'll be able to do it because we've drawn people in. We had 2 people from Vermont show up for our Rogue Trader, our RTT. And we've got some people from Quebec who showed up. So we're kind of like the East Coast Nexus, like for anyone east of Toronto but north of New York. So we're getting some experience there, like all the New England people.
Cool.
So we want to grow it up. We're lucky because there's a guy who's active military and who has access to one of the cafeterias in Montreal for the military. But it's like it's a little bit more expensive for a tour. It's like $30 to $50, but like it includes parking and food.
That's good. I mean, that's
So
fine.
that's one of the things we're looking into. Gabe is taking lead on that, but we're really trying to grow it up. We want it to be somewhere less than Toronto size wise, just because of population, but we still want to be able to pull in, if we can get like 30, 40 people for a GT and get a couple of golden tickets for it, that's our end goal for this year.
That would be incredible. And honestly, Montreal is such an amazing city to visit that
Oh, yeah.
you should be
Very
able to
fun.
pull people from all around. Vermont certainly should go up to Montreal. There's nothing.
Yeah.
I grew up going to Vermont. My dad used to work there until I was 12, so we would go there every other summer, and it's really like small town scene over there. So I'm glad you're getting the Vermont guys, just like we're getting the Rochester and Buffalo crowds coming up. That's awesome, man. I'm really excited for the Montreal scene, and if you do a GT, I'm definitely gonna try to make.
Oh yeah. Look, both Gabe and myself were in the Great Lakes TO chat. We're going to be publicizing this, especially for our GTs, because the way we're running them is we want to run our Rogue Traders more as casual tournaments. So those would most likely be non-classified forever, just to try to get the beginners funneled in, and then we need to discuss how we want to do for the GTs. But we're really trying to like grassroots this to the point where we hit critical mass no matter what we do.
Yep. And the game is so easy to build around now. I think it's such a fun game that I won't stop until we're like live streaming and it's like a
Oh, yeah.
national event. It's just like Team Canada live coverage, CBC. They might have to change the name of the game by that point because I don't think Kill Team is going to be something
Appropriate.
incorporate.
CBC did a video piece on Dota 2 a couple of years ago.
Nice. We need like a big song like the Dota song. We need a big like link
God.
and put it in Swedish. Like yeah. But Koa, Saskatchewan, the Regina scene is fascinating for me because I've never been to Saskatchewan.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
fascinating to concept it.
It's very flat. So I'll say that for sure. We're pretty spread. So the funny thing and nice thing about it is in our city, the saying is like there's not much to do. There's a lot of wargaming that happens. It's all a lot of flatlands. Yeah, our scene is also pretty growing as well. Like last few months, we had like solid numbers from like 16 to 20 players, and we're like turning them to all like 4 round tournaments. So I think that's, yeah, grand tournament GTs. So trying to get like monthly tournaments out. It's usually just like me as the TO and then another person that TOs every now and then. But recently, the last few months, I've been TOing, so I'm spearheading it. And yeah, it's like it's a lot of energy and work to TO. Like on top of that, I run like a little side business that I do like laser cutting and 3D printing. So I funnel that as like prize support on top of like reaching out to like our local gaming communities and like other 3D printers to like supplement the pricing. So just to make it fun and more like custom. The fun thing is like we're getting a lot of people from like out of town within our province just to come in. So we have like a few people that travel like an hour out to come in just to play for the 1 day like 4 round tournament, which is pretty good. We have like a consistent space now. Like coming from like the worlds, like from worlds, I'm just like, let's do a 2 day tournament next year. Let's get a golden ticket. Let's get more Canadians in here. I just love this.
Yeah.
So I just had like so much motivation. Like I'm just in Kill Team. Like I haven't really stopped after like Worlds, then the tournament, and I'm just like setting up a bunch of events. So I'm doing like a learn to play event. I'm in December, this like next week, and then we have like another like GT for in January, and then like I recently put out like a 2 day tournament called like Western Prairie Open in like June 28, 29. Gonna try like get everyone like talking to people in the West Side. Like I don't think they run a lot of ITC events, so I'm just trying to connect with other TOs there, and then talking to the guy that how he happened upon getting a golden ticket, which I didn't really mention on how like Alberta got it. So basically, how it happened was I think it was something with the Underworlds, and they talked to people in the booth, and they were able to talk with the organizer and get an actual ticket through that process instead of like the regular form process. So talking with him and then my local Warhammer store just to like try to see if I can jump the line or get through the process better or the form or whatever, because sometimes when being redirected to like Warhammer community, you're just like, well, they're not going to answer it. So that's like the tough part. But a lot of exciting things. I talked to Brandon, which he had won a big tournament in Killscream. I forget where it takes place, but like they had like their pricing was like Frostmourne from Warcraft with like an engraved like Killscream like tournament thing.
Nice.
I'll drop this for a bit, but I'm planning to similarly copy that and do like an engraved weapon for the tournament next year. So that's gonna a little drop there, a little preview.
That's
Something like that.
wicked. That'd be so cool. Like a sword or a gun or something.
Yeah.
That sounds like a wicked scene. It sounds like you're supporting it so much. Congrats on your business, by the way. The 3D printing on the side. It sounds so sick.
Yeah, I loved making a little token for you guys for like the little measuring gauge. I forget. It was like the little wedge at the beginning.
Nice. What's do you have a branding for it? Like do you have a name for the company or are you just doing it kind
Yeah,
of?
yeah. My company name is Kaleido Hobby. You can find it on Facebook. Eventually I'll make like an Etsy and everything, but I've been making like little custom tokens. Like actually I can show one right now. Just let me see. I'll pull this up here. This is kind of fun. I like basically I like let's see. I have a laptop right now, so it's kind of confusing, but like so I have like my display here, like one of the tokens here. This is like what I engraved, but like I make for my Fallout team. Sorry, for my Brood Brothers team, I made like a Fallout theme, and I made specific tokens for it, Fallout specific.
Cool.
I'll show us real quick.
I love this interaction that Koa had all of his models right behind him. Sick display cases. That's so cool.
So like there's like a
Oh,
little
those are nice.
conceal. It's kind of fun. I also made like for Brew Brothers, you do like a crossfire token. So I did like a Nuka-Cola crossfire token, stuff like that.
Oh, those are nice.
So
Yeah.
cool.
So
And you
I
have
guess
them in
if
like the new wedge shape, which is awesome.
yeah. I don't have any of those, but yeah, I guess as you guys' scenes are growing, let me know and I'll send something over. So for fun.
That'd be incredible. That'd be incredible. You guys look like the prize support is just amazing over there in your scenes. That's part of it. It's fun for our scenes. I got because I run like a sports academy and education company, so I have making medals all the time. So we just actually made some like proper juicy medals that people are
Oh, that's
like
sick.
actually have something here. So
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, so like everyone had I like put the red ribbon for Maple Leaf Wargaming and like the purple ribbon for Chimera, and I'm just like, here you go, guys, like just let's have something, right? And it's nice to remember what you did. Like we made first, second, third place, best sportsman, best general, and then best overall. And then for the GT we did like best in fact or best in faction from like Chaos, from Xenos, and those kind of
Oh yes,
things.
I do something very similar as well. It's I think my motto is like people will come if the stuff is like interesting. Like it'll pull anybody. So
Yeah, and that's the way you get new players in with the new co-op mode. Are you guys have you guys tried the new co-op mode?
I tried it solo. I find it's different. We'll put it that way. I find there's a lack of structure to it coming from playing more competitive kill team. It's too freeform. It's like you've got this, and I find the AI rules are a little too bare. It doesn't do enough. It's always like target the closest. It doesn't have any sense of aggro or target prioritization like in some of the solo or PvE board games. So I felt it's close. It's just missing that step.
yeah, I agree too. It's like it's very simplified. The only thing I would give it merit for is I think it's like I honestly think it's like the perfect way to teach somebody kill team because that's how I taught most of the games recently. Is this through co-op? Just because everything's more simplified, and then you can like layer it on, being like you can now use strategic ploys, you can now do this. But yeah, it's very like freeform. You gotta like come up with interesting stuff. Like for example, for me, I made it more interesting by doing like a Tyranid, the classic Tyranid thing, where you got like crush nests and they're just gonna keep coming at you. But yeah, they're pretty simple. You'd have to spice it up yourself to make it really like have some meat to it.
That's cool. Yeah, I haven't even had a chance to try it out yet. That was something I was really excited about, but we had Worlds and it was just like you have to just ignore everything else and just practice your heart out, right? So, that's cool. I tried one getting like four of my really good friends in the last edition to come play like initial games, and we didn't have co-op, and like just seeing their minds melt on on instance of playing. I was just like, guys, you love Kill Team, don't you? And they're like trying so hard to get into it. But now hopefully that Tyranid thing sounds really cool, that you can like set up like, yeah, we're gonna smash some bugs and kind of do what the new
Yeah.
Space Marine, kind of like, yeah, Space Marine 2.
Actually, they posted the NPO missions for that. Give me 2 seconds.
Oh yes, yeah.
Is there a? There isn't a. Oh, yes, there you go. Chat. There you go. They posted these a couple of days ago. It's the NPO mission pack for Space Marine 2.
Yeah, with like I think that's with like Titus or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
So you got.
interesting.
Is it really just only one mission? Really? Okay, fine. Maybe it's just one mission. Yeah, but it's called Tyranid Hunt. So you've got your Hormagaunts, your Termagants, your Tyranid warriors, a lictor.
This is cool. I really like this. This is really cool. And then it has like, yeah, the really simplified actions and Tyranid Hunt. Oh, this is great. I'm gonna share this around. Purge Tyrannocyte, Lieutenant Titus. That's so funny that they got his beard in there too, his aftershave. It's hilarious. This is cool. I like his rules too. Lethal parry, they got piercing crits, balance. They got some righteous fury as well. Wow. Maybe we should see this guy in game. As Angels of Death. You just, hey, I have Lieutenant Titus in this guy. That's awesome. Well, guys, it's 1:46 now, so I think it's perfect to kind of wrap it up. Any shout outs before we kind of wrap it up?
Ted's Hobby Shop. Gotta rep my local gaming store. Yeah, it's great. It's where I got my start playing Kill Team, and we play literally everything. And shout out to You'll Die, the Montreal Kill Team group.
I love that name, by the way. You'll die. It's so cool.
Well, everyone was so confused by it, but it's the Montreal airport code.
Yeah,
Or
ours
any
is
shout out for you?
ours was simpler. Just straight up this city name. So shout out to Regina Kill Team, and then Comic Readers and Warhammer Regina. The stores are supporting us, and then the group itself.
Awesome. Yeah, I got I'm sorry if I'm in and out here. I got like a fire alarm going off in my condo right now. The fire department's like making announcements. I'm trying to listen to you guys. It's literally like fire around me. It's like I'll never stop the podcast. Smoke everywhere. Guys, really appreciate you being on here, and it's so good to hear the Montreal and Saskatchewan scene. You guys are incredible players, incredible human beings, and I was glad to be close to you guys on the World Championship trip. And I'm excited. We're gonna make a pact. We have to do this again next year. We got a
Yeah,
golden ticket
Yeah,
somehow.
I'll try. Yeah.
that's the plan.
Yeah, that's the pact. Guys, I appreciate you so much. Thanks again for this, and we'll end the podcast right here.
Yep.
Right.
Take care.
Take care.
See you around.